Here's your heads up. This is a rant, and it is a little bit explicit. So apologies for that, but it's all about something I heard about what you have to do in therapy to get a change, and it was horrible. And it's not true. How I do just if you just listen to this, because you may not need therapy now, but if you know somebody who does, or sometimes you need someone to help, take this baloney away and see clearly a way to make the changes you want. Anyway, have a listen now.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, I have a cup of coffee in my hand, and I've been taking one or two quite deep breaths. And it's taken about a couple of days for me to get round to this. Whether it's going to be a 5-minute quickie, or whether it's going to be a longer podcast or a middle podcast, I don't know. And I'm going to probably swear in this one, so I do warn you. Because, well, you know, I listen to one or two podcasts, and I was listening to one of them sort of favourites, not really favourite, but one I enjoy. And it's about mental health and things like that. So I like to hear what other people are thinking and what they're doing and things like that, just to keep my little brain in gear. And I heard this conversation going on by people, again, who should know bloody better. And they were talking about how long they'd been in therapy, which gets on my bloody nerves, how long it is, because they're talking about a long time. And they were saying, and they agreed with each other, which really pissed me off. They said this, or one of them said this: you have to dig through the shit to get to the gold. And I just despair sometimes. I really do. People should know better, because it's such bullshit. It really is. You know, can you imagine feeling really bad, down, and you're listening to a podcast, or you're trying to find help. You're trying to find some encouragement, some motivation to change. You're listening for something, a glimmer, a nugget, a little sparkle, that little bit of light that can just come through that little gap that you've got left to brighten things up. And you hear that. You know, you have to dig through the shit to get to the gold. And, I despair sometimes. You see, why would you have to do that? Why do you have to go through all that stuff? Yes, I know there are some therapists that I really have problems with, and they're hypnotherapists as well sometimes, where they go through they call them significant emotional events, but they go from the one yesterday, and the one before that, and then the one before that, and they get their client to go into each one and feel how bloody bad it was, because they'll learn from it. And when you learn and you've gone through all that pain, it'll take away the pain, because you'll learn from it. But here's the thing. Do you? Or are you just recognizing with a false memory, because there are false memories as well, remember, that pain? Do you remember that pain as it really was? Or have you made it even worse? Because when you think about it, you're not in a good state. And if you're not in a good state, when you look back at those memories, are they coloured in bright, fluffy blues and pinks? No, they're dark, aren't they? They're dark, and the pain seems to be even worse than it was, I guess. And I think it was, because we can only remember the things that we focus on. We're focusing on through what? Our emotions. And if our emotions are negative and our beliefs aren't, they're limiting. I know there's wonderful positive intentions and things like that, but forget that for the moment. If you're in a state which isn't the most optimal, but it's just down, when you look back at your memories, even the bloody good ones don't seem that good, do they? So I can remember working with people who are depressed and asking them, when were you last happy? When did you feel happiness? And they can say, I can't remember having happiness at all, Paul. And I know that's bullshit. I know in their life, even in their depressed times, you have that little bits of humour sometimes. We just feel happy. But because of that focusing and filtering from the way we feel our emotions, everything gets dumbed down. So to hear that, I thought to myself, I just got to say something. I just have to, because it is such bullshit. You see, there's another way. You can, I believe, have your unconscious mind learn. Learn from the root cause. Learn from those significant emotional events. But it can learn without your conscious mind being aware of it. And it's a very simple hypnosis process. We call it in our trainings unconscious search and review, keeping everything away from the conscious mind. In fact, when I do it with a client, I get the unconscious mind to go and review, learn from all those significant events, especially the very first one. Start there, because that's normally not the most significant. And it then just, like a row of dominoes, allows the negative emotions to disappear. But whilst your unconscious mind is doing that, I get their conscious mind, rather, to begin to think of how they want to be, having wonderful dreams as if they were floating around their head like little satellites, each one being a dream, a thing that they want, and they can float into each one and make sure it's just the way they want to be. And as they begin to learn at the unconscious level, those dreams become more real, more attainable. They're not wishes anymore. They're things they can do. I mean, I can give you a very brief example. I don't know if I've said this before, that I worked with this guy once who, well, he was saying he was suicidal, and normally I would have a consultation, but something got to me the way he spoke to me on the phone, and I saw him the following day. And as he sat in my chair, we didn't even get into a personal history of any kind. He just started blubbering. So I put him in a trance, and I did exactly the process I've just spoken about. I got his unconscious mind to keep everything as if being like numb from the shoulders up, and got his unconscious mind to go and learn from all those things, understand that what it was trying to do was no longer supporting that positive intention, because he's a wreck. He's sitting in a chair in front of me. So that's not working, obviously. So go and learn. And if you use those learnings, you'll be able to have those dreams. What happened? The following day, he phones up and says, the whole world has changed. I feel brilliant. And he never had to go into any of those significant events of the past. He didn't experience the pain that he'd been having. And he didn't go back and experience every painful part of that thing, because he learned at the unconscious level. Now, what gets me about these were people putting up their own experience, which is okay. But I think they ought to say, this is my experience. I wonder if there's anything better than this. Yes, you've got that wonderful dream of, when I wade through all this crap and feel every bad emotion, there's some gold. But you don't know what the gold is, do you? It's like that crock of gold at the end of the rainbow. You ever been to one? Got to the end of it? But it's inside. The gold is inside when your unconscious mind learns. Some people need educating, I think. And I just want to get this off my chest, because you may have heard that. Someone else might have heard it and maybe tell you, and you can actually say, that's bullshit. There's so much better ways. You can change in an instant. Sometimes it takes a little longer. You don't have to be in therapy for years. Because if that's the only thing, I somewhere back in the back catalogue, there is an episode which says what to look for in a therapist. And if you're contemplating it, do have a listen. It may not be the right way. It's my way. It's the way I work anyway. And that's why obviously I recommend not working with me. You can if you want, but this isn't for that. It's to give an idea that go and ask if you're going to find that therapy to help you. And if that therapist believes they can help you, and do it in a reasonably quick time. It doesn't have to be in one session, but it doesn't need to be years. It could be 3 or 4 sessions. It doesn't have to be very long at all. And it doesn't have to be that expensive, because it's not that long. Not years and years. I mean, these people were saying they were going through years and years, and twice a week sometimes. Sometimes they would go every fortnight, every 2 weeks. That is mega. So I just want you to know, if you're ever thinking about it, there are so many great therapists out there, especially the hypnotherapists. If you ask them, and they have that belief that they can help you, and they have that belief that you can change quickly, they will get that change. They will help you make that change, because you're the person who's going to make that change, by the way. The therapist doesn't do anything. They are just a facilitator of processes, but to find the right one for you. Finding the key that undoes that lock or finds that gap and shines the light through so you can start to radiate. Anyway, so I got off my chest. No F-bombs in there, was there? Not yet, anyway. I just hope that makes sense. And I'm going to guess, with this lovely cup of coffee of mine, thinking about it now, I will probably repeat this podcast of a sort, say it again, come back, because I'm sure I'll hear other people say the same type of things. This is probably about the third time that it's got my goat and I've had to come and say something. If you want to get to the gold, find somebody who can locate it for you, to find it for you, help you uncover it without having to feel any negative emotions doing so. You don't need to. The only tears should really be tears that you found somebody that can help, and then tears of joy. I know when I speak to a client and they suddenly burst out crying, I know it's like the unconscious mind saying, I'm in the right place. Someone is finally fucking listening to me. Oh, there's an F-bomb. Sorry. Finally listening to me. They're in and understanding my world, because I think that's what's the biggest problem, is we have our own internal world, our own map of the world. And we need people, when we're in problems or have problems, to be able to come into our world and see it as we do for a moment, to help us find the way out. Taking then that meta view and saying, what about this? This seems to be it. And having the confidence to give you confidence to change yourself now. Anyway, rant over. Just a quick, sort of 5-minute quickie that's lasted probably 15 minutes. But enjoy any change, quick change, and don't accept things. I mean, if you heard that, here's a quick one. If you heard that and you know nothing about it, what question could you ask yourself? Here's one. How can I get to that gold without going through the shit and having a good time doing it? Being comfortable doing it. And could I do it quickly? How can I do it quickly? Ask that question and find somebody who can say, well, you can do it this way, this way, this way, and it works. There you go. Anyway, until next time, my friend, please share this with anybody you hear as having problems, because they might hear that statement, you have to dig through the shit to get to the gold, and you don't want them to hear that. And if you do, you want them to stick their finger up to it. Give it the finger and then find someone to help them change now and quickly. Anyway, have fun. Enjoy every heartbeat. Bye-bye now. Hey, before you go, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the things that you heard. But more than that, I hope you got a golden nugget out of this. A little golden nugget. A little piece of information that may just change your life. I hope you did. I know there's more than one in there somewhere. And I know you'll find it. Because when you set your intention to find what you want, I know you'll find it. So find those golden nuggets. I'd love the feedback to know what you did find, what you found interesting, what you did with it, and the results you got. If you just email me at I'll say that again. Email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. And I know you, like me, like sharing the things that we learn. So please share this episode, share the podcast. Please tell people about it. It does me some good. It makes me feel good, I know that. A little bit of ego in there. But also, it will share these type of learnings and get people interested in changing their lives too. And that's got to be a good thing. So if you can share this, it's like a pay it forward. And also just make sure you subscribe if you could. If you enjoyed these episodes, please subscribe. There'll be a subscribe button in the platform you listen to. Search for Personal Development Unplugged or my name, Paul Clough. Hit the subscribe button and then we'll have more fun every time we talk to each other. Anyway, enjoy.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.